Condal's finally pulled the brakes off. We can actually move forward, and we've got the finale of House of the Dragon Season 3. What did you think?
An entertaining bit of television. I can't deny it was entertaining at points, but also we abandoned the book ages ago, but you're very much just abandoning whatever the fuck you were trying to do back in season 1.
I can definitely see this being like the best and worst episode, especially if you like the books, because this isn't an adaptation anymore. Like, this is so far afield.
Fiction.
Yeah, even down to things like the knighting of Daemon in this episode is just completely out of nowhere. It's like they forgot that he wasn't a knight yet, but they didn't want to just do it off screen. So like, oh, we have to do this.
He doesn't do in the name of the Father I charge you to be brave.
Oh yeah, he didn't do the thing. He didn't do the knightly words. So I'm unsure why.
It's weird that he didn't make a ceremony out of it.
They could have used it as the propaganda thing we were talking about, but they didn't. But a lot happens this episode. We actually finally get the big Battle of Tumbleton. The only Tumbleton. I know everyone's still hoping out.
Well, it seems we were right and wrong. I want to like high five and be like, ha, we told you, but we didn't take into account that they just make up their own Tumbleton. Like, we didn't take that into account.
Yes, it wasn't Tumbleton 1, 2, or them together. It was an event that happened at Tumbleton.
Because in the books, if I can recall, Daemon's not at any Tumbleton. No.
We're no longer stalling the plot, so Rhaenyra actually finally has her downfall after waiting episodes and episodes and episodes. We'll start from the very beginning, where Rhaenyra finds out that Aegon is still alive.
No, he has risen.
Oh, he has risen.
As old mate says in an Arthurian Jesus-type comeback, and everyone is very excited, and we don't see it.
From the small folks' perspective, it makes sense. Like, this guy you thought was dead.
We don't see the word, we don't see small folk taking comfort in this. Basically, we're just told that, hey, they've heard he's back and think he's here and think he's now the true chosen one because he's risen from the dead. This has sent Rhaenyra in an ultimate tiz.
Another one.
Because she, even though we really should have been doing this stuff, I would argue, as we both argued, last season, with her kids being killed and tumbling down, thinking she's the chosen one. Because this whole you're the chosen one, she wasn't here going, I'm the chosen one back in season 1.
No, she fell upon that in the last few episodes as a reason. I think they realized she didn't have a reason. And like, because I never felt like she wanted the crown. I was like, why is she fighting?
We had this with Aegon. Aegon finally wants the crown.
Rhaenyra finally comes out and is like, oh, I am the prince that was promised. She wants to actually do this now. So I'm like, okay, they've at least given her a reason. I think they wanted to avoid what happened with Daenerys, where out of nowhere, Daenerys burnt them all and was crazy. And everyone's like, that's not how you do a downfall. Like, Daenerys was too far out of nowhere. So they were like, okay, we need to make sure that we definitely do a downfall. So we got like every single episode.
Groundhog's Day.
It wasn't like a progressive spiral. It was like the same thing over and over and over.
Oh, Joffrey's there. We never got any scenes of her trying to be a mother, because I know we see like her being distant to him, sitting on the side of the bed. I was thinking, that could be interesting. She's lost 2 sons. She's worried about losing the 3rd one, so she's keeping him at arm's length. Aegon and Viserys have not been mentioned. Ridiculous that those two. They're law important, let's just say.
They're not brunette, so she doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
They've missed opportunities with Rhaenyra to show the proper downfall, but she does get a really great moment with Baela where she actually like snaps. That felt super sudden, but I did enjoy Rhaenyra actually having a fire under her bum, because she's like, someone's actually talking back to me. Someone's finally spitting facts directly at me. The way the show wants to frame it is that Rhaenyra's finally chosen Daemon. Like, she's had Mysaria and Daemon on her shoulders, and Daemon's been like, you're the chosen one, and Mysaria's been like, the people. And she finally chose Daemon, and that's why she's like snapped, because Baela's like, oh, my sister almost died, my husband died, you're being a bitch, can we go get my granddad, please?
Yeah.
And then she's like, fuck you, and I'm like, whoa.
Then
so that was good.
Holds her in the keep.
Which is the dumb part. She's like, your blood is treacherous. You don't subscribe to Bergenbeard. And I'm like, man, Alan is there working his ass off for you for some weird loyalty reason.
Yeah, out of nowhere, he's now like, I'm the named successor, and
it feels like he should be on Team Baela almost, of like, oh, I love Baela, and also they have my dad, I want to do something about it. But he doesn't seem torn, I guess. He seems like resolute.
He stabbed the Pope.
Exactly. Rhaenyra says, stab the Pope for me. And he goes and stabs the Pope, because Rhaenyra now wants to be crowned in front of everyone. And he says no. So she does it herself.
Yes, and then speaks Valyrian, and then reveals the promise, the prophecy promise that's only to be passed down.
It's the only thing she's got. I don't mind her yelling, I'm the prince that was promised in Valyrian as like her final thing.
I thought we'd at least cut to people being like, don't like that.
But no, the small folk aren't people anymore. Once we lost Ulf and Hugh being the small folk, they're like, we no longer care.
We don't even see the madam, and then Mysaria is just... I mean, the fact that we're going to have some Mysaria of her going back to the den or whatever.
Well,
and
Mysaria, she's going to be, book spoiler, but not really, she's going to be the shepherd.
Oh, for fuck's sake. She's going to be the shepherd.
Yeah, she's going to be to people.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The reason this is all happening is because when Rhaenyra realizes she's on Team Daemon now, she's going to get rid of Mysaria. So literally out of nowhere in the opening of the episode, she's like, Mysaria, you're fired.
Pack your bags.
But like, I'm going to give you a bunch of money.
It seems to be in the history of Westeros, if anyone ever gets told, hey, forced retirement, it never works out.
Mysaria gets banished, very lightly, very loosely saying banished there, but she gets sent off with money for slaves and servants and stuff. But she's like, no, I really love the people, so I'm going to bail on this because she thinks Rhaenyra is a fascist. And this is dead set from behind the scenes, straight from Mysaria's actress herself in her normal speaking voice.
Which would have been perfectly
lovely.
acceptable.
It's an interesting posh accent. It's like, ooh. But she says,
here's this person who is a fascist that I helped to raise up, which is completely against all my beliefs.
Rhaenyra is a fascist. I helped create this fascist, and this is not what matches my beliefs. I'm all about the small folk.
Even though the lady misery of the books, like, rumoured put Helaena and Alicent in, like, the brothels, having people have a go at them.
Oh.
Like, this torturous ways maybe would have led to Helena's eventual suicide, and not just one little forced feed of porridge.
I'm bored. Might jump out a window.
They just didn't know what to do, did they? They knew that Helaena had to go out the window, but they didn't know what the reason would be.
Helaena finds out that Aegon is still alive because Mysaria's leaving words to her, you'll always be a prisoner.
Yeah,
she just like harasses her outside the
forever,
keep.
you're fucked.
And
yeah.
it like the serendipitous timing of this guard being like, we have to walk you back from your hour in the yard. And Helaena kills herself because she prophesied it. / I think maybe what they're going for, right, is her dreams last episode where she saw the white stallion outside the Red Keep. She saw herself with her children, and then she saw herself burning a bunch of people in the dragon pit.
Yeah.
So I think those were options. I think she was seeing all possible futures. And when she saw the white stallion in this one, she's like, oh, the future is coming true. If I'm alive, I'm going to burn everyone in the dragon pits. I don't want to ride my dragon because I hate my dragon. And CGI is expensive, but also I don't want to murder a bunch of people. I'm just going to kill myself.
They straight up didn't know what to do with her.
Because she's meant to love her child. She still has Jaehaera. Jaehaera's hanging out in the castle.
Yeah, because it's been, I'm pretty sure the book paints it as like, did she kill herself or was she? Who knows?
Oh, like pushed?
It was, I'm pretty sure it's framed like he does with everything. There's always a rumour of something, like I'm sure it'll be in season 4. The Queen of Bastards pushed her out the window. Our darling Queen Helaena, who the city loved, apparently,
but had never seen.
Never saw. Loved to fly her dragon.
They rushed her one time.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure when they're coronated, Aegon and her have a victory fly over the city on their dragons, but we couldn't do that. We had to have Rhaenys have a girl boss moment where.
Whereas Helena's never left the Red Keep, really, apart from that one time where her son died and people were maybe sad about it. So yeah, if she was loved, then Mysaria could use that as like you killed the one person I liked. But also Mysaria was trying to turn on Helaena like an episode or 2 ago to prop up Rhaenyra. So it's all shenanigans. And George was 100% right with his blog post about butterflies that we covered in this video here.
They don't know what to do anymore.
They did it. I think he even said they're going to have her kill herself for no reason at all. And this episode, she's like, shit, I sowed that I'm going to fall out the window. Best be going.
Like her kids get fucking wrecked. We don't have him anymore. So the plan was originally baby Maelor was going to be sent out the keep, but the crowd get to him and the poor thing is pulled apart.
The horrific death of 2 of my kids.
Also, in the book, it's that she's like, I chose for this one to be dead and now it's alive. So Alicent has to look after those kids for a while.
Did they do this because they didn't want Helaena to be like a useless, distant mother? But then they're like, because Rhaenyra is the useless, distant mother?
I mean, in previous episodes, she's like, did it feel good killing my grandfather because he caused you so much? It's like, are you kooky or just like utterly selfish and weird?
I've seen people like her telling Rhaenyra how ugly she is and everything she likes is ugly because, again, probably because Fia gets to finally act. Yeah. And it's the first thing that isn't just kooky. Even in that same conversation, though, she's like, I'm going to talk about bugs real quick because I'm kooky.
I thought she was going to say, you don't know about them because you weren't here in those last years with father. Like, you never paid attention to the city that you were in.
Or its people, or like anything.
I thought that's where she was going.
Because if she was beloved queen,
she would know these little characteristics of her capital.
It would at least be something.
Yeah. Now, I will touch on this. That outfit was fucking horrible. That's one of the worst outfits I've ever seen. Emma Darcy, fantastic performer. I think they do great with the crap they're given. But that outfit was goddamn awful.
Did you like the war paint makeup?
Whoa. And then like the fringe, the hair couldn't be fully back, so it's like poking out at points. Like the blondness,
I think
like
that's
the
on
chainmail.
purpose, maybe, because she dressed herself or something.
They decided that Rhaenyra didn't like being a woman.
That was the dress tearing up.
Yeah, but unlike the Cersei POVs in Feast for Crows, where she quite actively hates her own gender, like it's part of her fucking mentalness. This one's just, I'm so annoyed I'm a woman. So then she's now dressed like, I mean, that fucking
It's
3D,
Visenya's, right?
The 3D printed fucking. Was it Visenya's? Was that
I
referenced?
thought that was the point. I think it's meant to be
like Aegon wore the Aegon armor.
Visenya's armor, so that she isn't seen as a woman because she sees women as weak.
If she's gonna walk around the Red Keep like a dark sorcerer, she's gonna be wearing that the whole time now, isn't she?
In the BTS, they say this moment is a real Darth Vader moment. She looks fierce.
It's a total Darth Vader moment, and she looks quite fearsome.
No, she doesn't.
What?
She looks kooky.
It's also not a Darth Vader moment. What do they mean by that? Like intimidating?
What's a Darth Vader moment?
That's what I'm confused. There was another little tidbit in the behind the scenes that confused me is Ryan Condal says,
Emma was very open to giving us different levels and versions so that we can, snip it together in the magic of the edit.
and to me, I'm like, that just means they don't know how to play it. Or like they didn't have enough to go on that they can give like, this is what I'm going to do in this performance.
Yeah.
Like, this is what Rhaenyra is
the director
thinking.
encouraged maybe different versions.
Yeah, or like higher, lower, because like they had no idea. That it just felt like messy to me, and it kind of tracks in the episode because I'm like, I don't really. It's not a big moment. It's not Rhaenyra the cruel, apart from killing the Pope, because she's still not taxing these people.
No.
It feels like we could have been doing that. Like we could have been making the people hate her.
Well, this would have been the slow descent.
Yeah.
The start of this, we don't want Rhaenyra to be queen because of her gender. But now it's becoming Rhaenyra is actually incompetent. It's nothing to do with her gender. So what are you guys actually saying now as the tellers of this tale?
But also the show itself isn't willing to admit that because they're making the town turn against her because of Ormond and his Daemon money.
Yeah.
It should be that the small folk are like, actually, the queen sucks. Like, she's the fucking worst. But instead it's, we've been paid to do graffiti. And because we don't cut to any of the people in the audience being like, oh, fuck this bitch.
Yeah.
We hear a couple of boos and stuff.
Yeah. Half expected a fucking tomato to fly at her.
We don't see Rhaenyra be deterred by this.
No.
So, like, it doesn't even really fucking matter. And I guess she's Rhaenyra the Cruel now, or the downfall is going to happen next.
Magor with teats, yes.
Yeah, is that happening next season now? It feels like she should have
I
done
just think they're
something
doing their
worse.
own thing at this point.
Because they're not going to storm the Dragon Pit in the current state because, again, they're still just a bit unhappy unless a little certain Mysaria is like, well, let's go kill the Dragon Pit because to people. It just feels messy there.
But why would you do that to the people? Because then they're going to get
They're already
burnt and
fucking killed.
Yeah.
Helaena won't kill them with Dragonfire now. That's one person off the board. She fell into a fence. My thumbnail is now incredible. The one I made the other week of the book getting stabbed on the fence. I really liked the timing of the start of the episode, right? So I was like, oh, we're doing something interesting. Because it was daybreak when the episode starts. And as it goes through the episode, it gets further and further through the day. That's actually a really good way to time things. Because we've been struggling with time in this show. Like, people are teleporting and everything. But it was literally dark when Rhaenyra gets up. When she has her first confrontation with Baelor, like the sun's peeking through. I'm like, we're doing like a thing. This is really cool. And like by the time it's nighttime or whatever, Tumbleton will be burnt to a crisp or over. And I'll have like one hell of a day for this finale. But they kind of bailed on it because Mysaria gets kicked out of the castle. And then by the time Rhaenyra gets to where she needs to be coronated, Mysaria is somehow just like 30 meters away and is like, wait a minute, that's Rhaenyra. I'm going to bail now because fascism. So it all fell out the window there. I was really disappointed. But that kind of moves us on to...
Well, should we just get Aegon and Aemond out of the way?
Oh, yeah. I was going to move on to Tumbleton. I love whenever they say Tumbleton in Valyrian because it's Tumbleton.
It's like you just say Tumbleton.
Tumbleton.
I did Aegon, Big Brothers, finally. You're like, oh yeah, he's the bullying big brother. Slaps him and hits him with a, I'm alive.
I'm alive.
Oh, my God.
Like the absolute
Fucking
thrill. And
fucking Tom
actually,
Grintani
because
there.
someone, it's been pointed out, someone on Team Green actually wants this now. So he's like, here's what we're going to fucking do. I'm going to get Vhagar. We're going to fly because Sunfire can fly as long as the plot needs him to fly. Obviously, but Sunfire is basically just going to have an alternate skin until we decide it's actually a problem.
Yep.
I think he crash landed a little bit. It's a bit of a rough landing. We're going to go find Vhagar. We're going to go down the Tumbleton. We're going to have a fucking word with Daemon, and we're going to go back to King's Landing. I'm going to be on the throne.
I do like that he doesn't say he's going to kill
No, we're
Daemon.
going to have a fucking deal with
he's
him.
like, I'm going to put them in their place.
Because his argument was, you're a kinslayer, like you're attempted kinslayer, so we aren't going to do this.
Yeah, it's like, you should all fall beneath me. I don't love how we got here again, the 3-minute scenes of Aegon the whole time, but he at least has a drive now.
Such a relief, but it's something.
And it's almost like a spiteful reason that we're getting the throne now, because everyone told me I can't have it.
Fuck you all.
Yeah. So it's like, at least we have a good reason. Whereas Rhaenyra is like, magic prophecy?
It's complete fan fiction we're doing now with Aegon and Aemond. Aemond, with his experiences, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Of the two characters, I think he was the one who maybe could have done with a few dream sequences, because there's nothing about this experience that has made him think, I need to be loyal to my brother.
Oh,
the
100%.
annoying thing is that he could have been.
Well, he already was.
He arguably is loyal to his brother already at the start.
Up until Rook's Rest, literally, he is the most loyal man. God, remember season 1, how he like brings Aegon to his coronation, drags him out of the brothels, and it's like, this is my king. He's plotting with Kristen Cole to help Aegon the whole time.
And Aegon allegedly invites him to the council. He goes, he's my blood, he rides Vagar, he's on the council.
Yeah.
And then in the book, he's the Prince Regent, not King Regent or whatever. He's like, no, Prince. And then, as some people would argue, is that when he comes back after killing Lucerys, Aegon throws a party, which some say it was almost like a cover-up. Like, oh, good, my brother's killed one of those traitorous bastards. Like, it's not kinslaying.
Yep.
It's killing a traitorous bastard.
Yep.
So he's trying to look after his brother, you could say. Aemond has now decided to basically become the wet-lipped, pig-riding version of himself from...
It's not great. And they did all that with just his experiences at Harrenhal, even
Which
though
was what?
he has... Exactly.
Chopping wood?
Dreams about his mum. Because Daemon, as much as we shit on Daemon's 4 or 5 episodes at Harrenhal, he at least got to have a solid conversation with his dead brother in his brain, a young version of his wife, who he then cuts the head off of, and like his entire world kind of collapses around him.
This is 6 episodes. So we just lost it in the 6th episode.
It must be. They must be like, what can we cut this? But we can keep the Oedipus.
Yeah, the Mysaria stuff we can keep.
I have heard rumors that they cut a bunch of hot and heavy with Alys Rivers and Aemond. But Ryan Condal decided, do you know that thing that Stephen kept talking about all of season 1 and season 2, how he really thinks Alys Rivers is super cool and super mysterious? What if we took away all the mystery?
And I doubt that's a George thing. Turns out she was the wife of Harren the Black, had one surviving son, went to the Green Men. Remember that Green Man that rocked up in the first...
Remember when you thought that'd be important?
That fucking Pan's Labyrinth. And as part of her attempt, she can never die and she is bound to the castle grounds and must serve. And I guess she figures since she's stuck at Harrenhal, she might as well rule the country from it.
Yes, I don't understand why this makes her want to fuck Aemond or Daemon. I get why she wants Harrenhal, because it's hers by right, she thinks in her brain. But also, it's not really. But basically, yeah, her son was dying. She did black magic to keep it alive with the old gods.
Failed.
They said, fuck you, your kid's dead, and now you wander the earth forever. It's interesting, but it also changes nothing.
No.
And the only thing it does is make Aemond want her more, because he finds out that she's a mum and she's really old.
Is she under the impression that if she can have another kid, or like, would the spell be broken if it's a dragon because a Valyrian did it? So is she trying to break the spell?
She's a MILF, so Aemond's into it. So he makes out with her immediately, and then she's kind of just like in the background during the Aegon and Aemond scene. It just seems so dumb that that's the only scene with Aegon we get.
And so now it leaves with Aegon and Aemond are going to have some for next season.
They have no army. They have 2 dragons versus 5.
You're going to go find Vagar.
They have 1 dragon versus possibly 5.
Half a dragon.
We have to go get it. That's just going to open up so many problems for next season.
I mean, they do these things where they deliberately leave things off. I'd like to think Aegon would have went to Thailand, go to fucking...
go get the money.
Castle Rock, fucking load up. I'll meet you there with Vagar, and we're going to march from Castle Rock or something. But we don't know, because they don't fucking know. So I'm sure we'll be told in 2 fucking years when we're done with this.
Definitely.
That, our king ordered me back to Castle Rock.
And like Castle Rock can't have enough people.
Because the whole army got fucked already.
They've already tried that. So they've got no army left. So Aegon and Aemond, their idea is to rule. But I don't see how they're going to do that at all. Book fans will know what probably will happen. But again, we're so far off. Yeah. I'm not even sure if you can say that there's going to be certain things. People are still saying there's going to be a Tumbleton too. What Tumbleton? Because speaking of Tumbleton...
Fumbleton?
Fumbleton's good. There is no Tumbleton anymore. It got burned to the fucking ground. The spectacle was good. They built an entire frontage of that set. We storm up to it in one take. It's quite effective. It looks really cool. We've got some actual battle tactics, as in we've got dropping rocks onto ladders
Using
and some hot
kids
oil.
for sympathy, which doesn't work with Roddy.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all with Roddy the Ruin, but it does at least delay the battle and like make them think about it interestingly. So I'll give them that, because obviously once you involve dragons, it's hard. But apparently the director of the episode was given a 1/100th scale model of Tumbleton, and he had little figurines to figure out the battle.
Cute.
I do wish once we were inside Tumbleton, we knew what the fuck was going on, because the wall and in front of Tumbleton completely makes sense. I get all that's great. But the good thing about Helm's Deep, the best battle of all time, is as we like move through it, they're like falling back in positions. And also we give a shit about anybody involved.
If you think that's unfair, we can also say the Blackwater.
Yep.
It was season 2.
Which had so much build up.
So much build up. The whole season is Tyrion going, we got to fucking prepare for this. Or technically, I guess Ormund was doing that.
Ormond sitting in his little room.
Was technically preparing for something. But in the Blackwater, we know and care about both sides. And we know why they're there, what the ideas are, what the tactics are, and how all this is going to work out. Like, is Stannis going to manage it? Is Tyrion's tricks going to work? How's Tyrion going to prove himself? And, like, there's those emotional moments, like when he does the speech, and none of that here.
I mean, even the latest thing, the Odyssey, once they're inside, we have to open the gate. In here, we're sending Roddy inside to open the gate.
Do you think they were like, oh, for fuck's sake, when they watch the Odyssey? Everyone's going to be thinking about the Odyssey when they watch this.
I was thinking, like, can't we drop a bunch of men off via Caraxes? He just like drops people above. But we don't really do any clever tactics apart from you're willing to die, run in, get over the wall, open the gate. Roddy gets in. We have the good line of the gates open, but we're still alive. And I'm like, that's funny. Caraxes just made that whole plan pointless by burning down the gate.
The act of Roddy the Ruin is awesome. I feel perfectly cast. But when he says still alive, some fans of the First Law it remind me of Logan Nine Fingers, because that's his catchphrase. He always goes, still alive, whenever he like goes through some shit. It reminded me of that. And I thought, in another world, you would have been a decent Logan Nine Fingers. But anyway, that doesn't mean anything.
Ulf has vanished. So we got to do the plot line where we walk around trying to find Ulf.
Ulf's been allowed to go on the bender because he really wanted his drinks. So Ormund, a highly organised person, I think we can at least say Ormund was highly organised. It's amazing he didn't send 1 or 2 guys just to keep an eye on him. Go, hey,
10 people.
These boys love a drink too, Ulf. And then go, make sure he doesn't drink too much and bring him fucking back.
Jon Roxton, honestly, like...
Yeah, Johnny boy
my
loves
most
it.
loyal person, because we need to build some kind of thing for them later.
Yeah, he loves a drink, John. So Ormund overlooked that and just assumed Ulf would, Also, Ormund doesn't like dragons and dragon riders, but just accepts them as necessities. It's amazing Ormund didn't think to at least send some people with Ulf for his night bender before the battle. Left the dragon outside. I can only assume the plan was to present himself like he was on Team Black and go, don't you worry, Prince Daemon, and then kick off, I think was obviously the plan.
I guess. That's the thing. It doesn't feel like there's a solid plan, though.
No.
Because we also have to skip around a bunch of stuff. Like, Gwaine realizes, oh, we're fucked.
What does he say? Oh, something bad's going to happen. Yeah, we're all going to die.
Gwaine and Daeron have a little chat. Daeron the boring, Daeron that does nothing.
Daemon the dull?
Daeron the dull. He sits around going, I don't really like battle. I don't want to really do this. People are keeping secrets from me. This sucks. Not interesting because we know the secret. The secret is Ulf. Like, cool. Thanks,
it's
Daeron.
uninteresting to us.
Yeah, it's just Daeron stating things. And then Gwaine takes things into his own hand and says, well, I'm going to keep you alive and me alive because I'm big fans of both of us.
Yeah.
We have Corlys.
I'm big fans of both of them too.
We're going to grab Corlys, go to Daemon and say, parlay, please let us go. We'll give you Corlys. And then Daeron can be king of Hightower.
They're like, no. But then Corlys comes in and goes, okay.
But to get outside,
a
they
lot
just
of people
teleport.
would have had to have seen.
Yeah, they do later on say that like one guy saw, and I guess Ormund was busy looking for Ulf.
Unaware that
he was busy looking for Ulf.
The gate was opening and they travelled all the way out.
It's not a short ride.
I was a bit annoyed. I think Gwaine wouldn't get choked like a bitch. I think Gwaine has proven enough that he could maybe hold his own against
We've
Ulf.
never seen him do anything except trudge through grass.
And get off that horse, incredibly.
Maybe book Gwaine, but definitely not this Gwaine. This Gwaine has been definitely like the knight from Old Town that has never been tested, as far as we can tell. He's not even like a tourney knight from what we've seen. Gwaine has the idea of Daeron will rule Old Town, and then we'll
be the
live
lord
happy ever
we'll
after.
just be the lord of it.
Basically just let me the fuck out of here. But then Corlys, being the absolute legend he is,
tries to
God, I love that conversation because it's three people that have massively different ideologies.
Yeah.
Like, Corlys doesn't want war at all. Daemon, or I guess Gwaine, wants to get the fuck out of there, but also wants to keep the rule. He wants Daemon to be king still. But then Daemon doesn't want to compromise. Daemon's compromise, I guess, is human life, whereas Corlys's compromise is some time, and then we'll marry Daemon to your daughter.
Yeah, we're just over it.
Corlys is a fucking genius.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
It then, unfortunately, makes Daemon seem kind of stupid.
I guess
because that's
bloodthirsty.
a decent deal.
Yeah.
And I guess they didn't want it to be another misunderstanding that they briefly agree and then Ulf finally gets burning and they're like, fuck you. And then the war. I would have hated that. Like, so I think I prefer at least that Daemon is like, no, Blood of the Dragon, Old Valyria, this is the prophecy, she's the fucking ruler. You lot have tricked me once, fooled me once, all that shit. I get it.
They have had to make Daemon very one-minded now.
Yeah.
This whole season, really, because he did his Pledge of Allegiance last season, has his weird little gold cloak plot. It would be good if Daemon actually had more to stand for than
I love my
my
wife.
queen will be the prophesized, even because he knows about the prophecy.
Yeah, because he saw the visions of Rhaenyra.
Yeah, that's right. So he's again going off prophecy. Him and Rhaenyra are only motivated by that prophecy.
Well, he's
now.
motivated because he's like, we can have Valyria again. We can take
And then the
over.
world,
Yes,
maybe?
we can build a Valyria here.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
It's not as interesting for
No.
sure. I guess they didn't like the rogue prince they had, or they didn't know how to write for him. So they just went with Daemon wants blood. He wants to help Rhaenyra get the throne or like solidify it.
So the battle starts. The door's not opening. So Daemon, it's a cool shot. I thought it was going to be one whole shot where he just goes Craxes, and then the Craxes starts coming. And then he gets on Craxes, opts to call chicken on the kids, who the last two get out the way, burns. Then Caraxes breaks through, allowing everyone to break through there. Then just leaves Caraxes to be just outside.
It was so funny when Caraxes like pokes its head through and is like, "Rawr," and then does nothing. But Daemon's plot armor he dons in this episode, once the door's down, I'm like, oh, you've got Caraxes, you can burn all those guys at the front.
Yeah.
And you're good. Instead, he charges in on a horse. The horse gets fucking munted.
Yeah.
And then he's fine somehow.
Yeah.
And then he just starts fighting anyone, any which way. We don't know where he's going because we have no sense of space.
Like, it's just find Daemon.
I guess,
And
yeah.
we don't really know where Daemon is.
Well, not until
'Cause
later.
Daemon's taking ages getting Tessarion ready because we can't have Daemon go out, so he just has to inexplicably take a while.
That'd be too daring.
Yeah.
And then Gwaine says, no, don't use your dragon, that will probably help, and is small enough that you could probably actually do some tactical shit with the dragon. Like,
Yeah, the speed.
Dragon
and
in the
also,
streets.
but they don't know, because if they did know, it would make more sense. You can tag team with Silver Wings, then it makes sense. You know, like two speedy dragons.
Which is also weird that Ormund doesn't get him involved. He should trust.
Because Ormond's whole play was they can't use Caraxes.
Yep.
So, but they will use Caraxes if you do what you did, which is what we see. And as if you do it outside, then obviously, yeah, just the dragon will go, yeah, okay, we'll fight you outside of Tumbleton.
But then we need to get Caraxes off the board for a bit so that when Ulf does his turn, the army is easily nukeable. Because I assume in the books, Team Black had 2 dragons that they thought. They didn't have Caraxes there. And then those 2 dragons turn on all their own men. And it's like, oh, this is unstoppable. We thought we had 2, now we have 0. Instead, they have Caraxes. Vermithor's doing nothing. And Caraxes now has to be bored and off screen somewhere so that Silverwing can do a bunch of murder. And Daemon has to be off his dragon inside the walls so that he can not notice and not tell Caraxes to do it.
And Ulf has to teleport outside of a warring city to get to his dragon.
Through which fucking gate? Because
Yeah.
Roddy came through one, Daemon burnt down the other one.
They killed the poor guy who's just looking for him, poor sod. And then he gets on the dragon, and because Ormond's also insulted him, kicked him, and said, do as you're told.
Which is a good reason to turn, I guess.
It would have been nice to have a little bit more.
Oh, for sure. If we had way more of this, it would have been great.
I always like stuff like this if it showed in its smallest point early on. That Ulf, in his first scene, you could say, hates being insulted. Just hates it.
Marty McFly, don't call me chicken.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, even though chicken is never mentioned in the first film. And so then that has stayed with him the whole way through. And now that it's on a big scale,
Yeah.
he just can't abide it. That he's been tired of being kicked and taken the piss out of. So now that he's finally got a dragon, which everybody told him growing up, you got a dragon, you're a dragon lord, well done you. So he's finally got a fucking dragon, and a legendary dragon at that. And he's still being treated like he's fucking no one. Completely get it. It's a good reason. Just not explored well enough.
Yeah, and then you have Ormond kicking him down to the ground like
Oh,
Daemon
love
did.
it.
Except Daemon did it like 1 episode ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all suddenly like, whoa, we're doing this now. Even though we've had several episodes.
Obviously, Ulf's running on pure emotion because this doesn't make sense, but he attacks the army, which I guess he has no problems with killing innocent men, even though he hasn't really killed anyone with the dragon until this moment.
Correct.
So he kills them. I know he's a bit hungover, I guess. And then Roddy the Ruin is fighting Ormund, and Ormund actually gets the one. He chops his hand off, stabs him. It looks like, but then he gets a little bit grossed out by the blood,
which I
and
didn't
goes to gag.
I'm okay with like certain things making him puke.
I don't know if it was a choice or not, but James did a good job of acting like this isn't Ormund's natural, so he kind of had a bit of a straight back daintiness to him.
The way he fought like professionally, like as if it was only sparring.
Because it would make sense that Ormund wouldn't like being. If he's this opposed to gore,
yeah,
you think he would be like Tywin Lannister is in the books, like I'm over on the hill directing stuff.
I'm surprised he was on the battlefield at all doing any murder, because if the slightest slide of blood made him puke,
you think he'd be all the way back.
Especially when like there's so much murder on that front wall. Why is he there? Because he's gotten Ulf. He's won the war in his eyes. So, like, why is he personally doing it?
Because if they couldn't find Ulf, was the plan simply the moment the army turns, Ulf just goes,
I guess.
Like before they can even get to the gate, we just start burning them.
Yeah, and also Ulf doesn't seem to mind that Caraxes is there. Vermithor isn't involved. Whereas if Vermithor and Silverwing were like
both
on the offensive,
then yeah.
Ulf would feel invincible. He's like 2 dragons versus Caraxes. Have you seen the size of Vermithor?
Yeah.
But instead, we fucking cut in the middle of this battle, just before Daemon heads in. We cut to Hugh Hammer.
With an axe.
Back to Corbin.
Oh.
Running up the fucking field on foot to go find his wife in the middle of a battlefield. What the fuck?
A bit like, look, Jon Roxton looked fucking cool. That bit was Valyrian steel on Valyrian steel. I wish we had some cool sound effects for Valyrian steel.
But why did we have no setup to this fight? They're staging this as like the 2 greatest fighters in the realm. And I'm like, I have no idea who the fuck Jon Roxton is, apart from he's been around.
And he looks cool.
He looks cool.
And he has the ability to teleport.
And they're framing this as like the realm's greatest fighter. Roxton was hanging out with Ormund constantly and now suddenly split off to go find Ulf.
You think that would be Ormund's one thing?
Yeah.
I can fight, but
I don't need to.
This big fucker's here.
It's a good fight though, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, and then I was they do the whole like video game.
No, they do the Star Wars Force Awakens where the Earth opens up and they can't fight each other anymore.
Yeah, I thought it was lame.
I did like that it was 2 immortal beings attacking each other. Like, because they're both armored up, the swords are just clattering off and they're like, this fucking sucks.
Raider!
I thought Daemon was going to lose an eye because Daemon starts getting eye gouged.
I was worried then. I was like, if we do this...
I was going to say, we're doing Daemon one eye?
That would have been fucking lame.
Because like, Ryan Condal is like, Aemond, Daemon, and they're the same person, I've decided. I thought they were going to do it.
Nothing built up to that, like the Aemond Daemon stuff.
Oh, it's all we thought we were going to get.
Considering that he was having the dreams of him with one eye.
Yeah, apart from the fact that they literally have been mirroring each other, there's nothing else there. Like, in the show, Daemon and Aemond are mirroring themselves, but they've never talked.
They just had that one stare off.
I don't even think they've mentioned each other.
In the last good episode of this show.
I think in season 2 we're talking about how cool it was that Aemond kind of like wishes he was Daemon and like views Daemon as the coolest, and like that would have been a cool thing.
I thought it was kind of cool because he had the coin. He thought it was kind of cool that Daemon saw him as a threat.
Like he thought Daemon was the coolest, but then Daemon didn't know who he was, and it's like, oh, this is a cool setup. We can do something with this. But Daemon still doesn't know who the fuck Aemond is.
Yeah,
like he doesn't know that they've both fucked Alys. Like
maybe he did. It's because he envisioned his mother. Maybe that was Alys during the Daemon dream.
There's no build up to this with Jon Roxton, and there's no build up to Aemond, which is inevitably where that's going to go.
But this is the whole thing with the character stuff we're talking about. Yes, it was a cool fight. That gets me so far. But it's cooler if there is a build-up to it. I mean, we've seen it in Night Seven Kingdom, that when those two finally go and have a fight, the Prince Aeron and Dunk, obviously the Mountain versus the Red Viper, we fucking know why we're here.
It means so much more.
A writer would go, why is this? Because when they're planning it, why is them fighting more than just it's a cool thing?
What's the emotional core of this fight?
What's actually there? Yeah.
But they didn't. Because I would never have guessed Roddy would kill Ormund. Like, that doesn't really make sense from a story perspective.
Well, because Ormund hasn't interacted with anyone apart from the one fake scene with Daemon.
Yeah, and the chessboard.
Like, it would have made more sense. I would have went with Ormund's death maybe would have been more satisfying if it was Daemon doing it. Daemon going, no, since I'm the king, you were being a traitor or something. You're going against me. And then I've got a horrible feeling Ormund's not going to be dead.
No, Ormund's definitely dead.
You reckon?
Pretty sure they show his corpse.
Yeah, I was worried.
I think the actor, James Dorden, also says that this is his death. Like unambiguously, he's like, I'm dead.
Okay.
Whereas it is ambiguous as to where Daeron is, because Daeron is just vanished.
I don't think they know either.
I don't think Gwaine should have survived. I don't know how Gwaine survived. I know he has to.
The new Lord of the High Tower in this universe.
I know he has to
Congratulations,
survive,
you know.
but like,
And then logically he would go, I'm new Lord of the High Tower. I bow to Rhaenyra. I'll see you later.
yes, I'm out,
Yeah.
dude. Whatever
Yeah.
Corlys said, we're doing whatever Corlys said.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do that.
Because Daemon wakes up and Corlys comes and goes, we ran out of budget. We got to go.
Which is weird, right? Because like I know that they lost a big amount of their army, but surely not all. And sure, Tumbleton probably took bigger losses. So if there is a Tumbleton 2, that's insane.
Electric Boogaloo.
But Ormond gets a knife in the arse. What's the line? A proper fucking from the north.
Fucking for you.
Wonderful line. It is funny.
Love seeing the fire coming. And then Ulf has, and fuck you too.
Yeah. The eagle eyes on these dragon riders that they can tell who people are from like a million miles away. But it is a funny line. And Ormond being like, oh fuck, with like the 0 teeth because Roddy bashed him out.
Because they kind of combine now Ulf turning, it's its own thing. It's not just Ulf turning on the blacks, it's Ulf declaring himself an independent.
Unless Ulf now goes back to burning Tumbleton and is like, I'm the king now.
I think that's what it's
decided.
going to be. I'm now going to rule this place, which is dumb.
When Corlys comes to get Daemon out of there because no budget, Daemon's having this like Arya Stark in the season 8 finale, like looking around at all the
did
death and
think
destruction.
that felt very mirrored.
If there was a fucking white horse that ran by, it would have been like, Jesus. But I guess he's realizing death bad, maybe? Was that what that was?
I was here going, okay, we got Roddy the Ruin, Black Alice, Tully Guy. Don't care about any of them because we didn't have any time. I was there going, it would have been really cool if this was like, if we had some scenes with these people. That'd have been cool. We could have understood why Roddy is so borderline suicidal. Like what's the motivation behind this guy?
Yeah, that's kind of like in lore, I guess.
They treat these characters like just cool imagery. So when you got Black Ali doing something cool, I'm like, don't care about you. You don't mean anything to me. You look cool, like a cool action figure, but I'm not invested in you. And the problem is, I don't get to go, oh, well, the trade-off is, because Aegon and Rhaenyra are so fucking deep and cool and three-dimensional, then okay, I'll accept that Black Alice is just a cool-looking character over here. The only thing that saves is the performances, as we always say.
Yeah.
So Tom is just standout.
I'm alive!
We end on Hugh finding his dead wife who died somehow.
She got stabbed by one of them, I guess, at
Maybe
some point in that
died of a
awkwardness.
broken heart.
Oh, maybe.
Because her husband
Who
left her.
knows?
I don't know why the fuck she was even there. Because Hugh teleports back to King's Landing in between the last episode where he was having
He
a
should be
domestic.
guarding King's Landing.
He was in Tumbleton, undercover, speaking to his wife. She said, get fucked. He then vanishes that episode back to King's Landing, all to come all the way back.
Because he heard about the fight, because obviously they would have cut a shitload of stuff with him. You
It
know they would have had
must have.
scenes with him.
Because he's so nothing. And it's like, we've had more with Ulf than we
Yeah.
had with Hugh, and that's
It's
embarrassing.
amazing all the things they combined did. They didn't just go, Ulf and Hugh can be one person and he's riding Vermithor.
I guess more dragons.
Yeah,
'Cause
I guess.
There was the thought of like maybe Caraxes will attack Silverwing, which we see in
And
the
then Vermithor's
outro.
like, that's my wife.
Yeah, because in the outro we see Caraxes chasing off Silverwing,
And then Vermithor's
Vermithor's
following.
behind. But like, was Ulf still on?
I'd assume so.
Because then Caraxes did,
He's solo doing that.
but not before. He waited till he had burnt the whole blacks and then decided to it. Because Caraxes was right there. Caraxes, last time we saw Caraxes, he broke down the door and was like, peace. And then I guess
You assume would have went.
that's my guys. Like, I was hanging out with those. We're
Because the
bros.
dragons seem to understand.
The bond. Or the
Yeah.
fact that Daemon can just say Caraxes from like a distance and Caraxes is like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm coming. Sick moment.
It was cool.
Why is he not just on the dragon is one thing. Why ride horse when you can...
Because Daemon likes being at war. It's funny because Matt is obviously ill during the behind the scenes stuff.
Probably so
He
hungover.
just seems completely like just bemused by all of it.
He seems pretty checked out.
Obviously, we end on Rhaenyra. It's meant to be her going full evil. She shuts the door, doesn't care that
She
Helena's
closes
died.
herself off from the world.
Oh, and we get fucking Alicent has escaped Harrenhal.
Oh, yeah.
Sees the butterflies
There must be cut content. There's no way you show Alicent in that one scene
with some
seeing
men that
butterflies.
I guess were waiting on the outside. Would have rode with her.
Oh, they're either people that rode with her and she's like met back up with them because she didn't seem under arrest, or they're people from the twins that have like headed to Harrenhal to take it over
Yeah.
and have like met her on the way. But either way, she should be a prisoner from either, but she's like gallivanting with the butterflies. And I guess knows that
Well,
her
they
daughter
said
is
that
dead.
behind the scenes it's going to be this.
It's not though, is it?
And then now the dreamers are gone, like something like, now the dreamers are gone. It's magic. It really is dying. And
It's not though, is it?
we are in gobbledygook land now.
Yeah.
We are in nonsense world. This didn't have the stakes because so many people aren't interacting with each other.
Well, it's weird because in the same episode that you're supposed to be rooting for one of the sides to win this Battle of Tumbleton, say there was Team Green, Team Black. You either want Daemon to win or you want Team Green to win. And either way, I guess you can kind of view it as like both teams lose. But I didn't give a shit about either team because if I was Team Daemon, then I've then got Rhaenyra, who is technically the team queen over here, being the worst person ever. So I should not be rooting for her because the show seems to have accepted that she's the bad guy now.
Very awkwardly have decided this.
Because I guess Mysaria is the real good guy.
Rhaenyra has been written very poorly.
We should do a whole video about Rhaenyra, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about Daemon by proxy of I don't care about Rhaenyra anymore. And Daeron isn't actually in charge. Daeron doesn't want it. So I don't want that team to win. So I guess the only team you can be is Team Aegon.
Because at least Aegon wants it and is entertaining to watch.
And he's not murdering his brethren. He's like, you betrayed me, I might forgive you.
Yeah.
Be a good lad and we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Like this whole Battle of Tumbleton, you just don't give a shit about apart from spectacle.
Because spoilers, in the book, one of Aegon's big things is he wants to build 2 statues in the honour of his brothers, the size of the Titan of Bravos. So clearly he fucking loved them. Like, they are walking that back. So you know they regret doing the rapey boy intro thing.
But they also regret, like, Aemond's whole arc of killing his brother. Because in the matter of the 2 episodes, he's sitting down saying, I fucked up. I am depressed now. I'm lonely.
We didn't see any of... Oh, it's the butterfly effect.
The episode ends so abruptly.
So abruptly.
It's definitely a hook. I'll give them that. Like, they did end on, like, what will happen now? People will be excited to come back, but that's also 2 years away.
There is a world in which, by the time this comes back, we would have had season 3 of Night of Seven Kingdoms.
Well, this will be 2028 because Ryan says there's usually 300 shoot days and it's a 2-year process.
How many writing days is there?
That's included in those 300, but probably one. We normally have the cooldown episode. Game of Thrones, every season,
Episode
would always
9's
do
the big one.
a cooldown episode after your big thing. So instead of doing that, we now have a 2-year wait. So yes, our things are high and we don't know what's going to happen next, but I feel like it's almost too much fallout. Like you need to see the way people are going to process this.
So we do, okay, so, because now we're in a fantasy world.
Oh, yeah.
So now we have to go, so Daemon has to rock up back to the keep on his dragon, has to inform her that Ulf has turned, and that there's a chance Hugh might be with him.
He saw Hugh running into the battle, so he should be like, Hugh's fucking weird.
And he's going to go, you just killed the High Septon, so now everyone's fucking pissed at us. I suppose that's the start of the riots that Mysaria is going to kick with and become the shepherd. Oh, fuck. I'm going to go with Daeron's alive. Has to.
It has to be. If you don't see a body, he's alive.
Because Ulf, I think, is just going to like hang out at Tumbleton and drink himself silly.
Is there a Tumbleton left? We saw him burn a bunch of it.
Yeah, that's the issue.
It looked fucked up.
And now he has no sides.
Yeah.
He can't be like, hey, I did it for you, Daeron.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe he did. Maybe that's the annoying thing is that he's killed Ormund, but then, I honestly don't know
Ormund's
what
the
they
only
do.
one that wanted the thing. So unless Daeron has a turn now that makes him want to go after the throne.
I was hoping this, like, fuck Ormond, and he's like, and then we'd see him on the dragon, blonde.
Oh, yeah.
Go fucking, I am Daeron the Daring. And Gwain's there going, Daeron the Daring. When they win this thing, because they really struggle with it, what does Daeron want?
He doesn't want the crown. We've said that.
Yeah, because we know what Aegon wants. We know what Rhaenyra wants.
Prophecy-wise, yeah.
Alice, we don't have a fucking clue what Alicent wants. Rhaenyra is back where she started. I didn't like whatever the fuck they're trying to do with Alan. That was fucking stupid.
Oh, yeah, the love triangle, Addam and Alan. So because Baelor has been arrested now, Addam is pissed. And Addam is also pissed because he found out that Alan and Baelor made out, and Addam wanted to make out with Baelor. So he's like, that's my niece to make out with.
You can have Rhaenyra.
So now, but now they're like mad at each other. Addam goes off the back of Alan just being suddenly like super loyal. So Addam is mad at him
Is
for
it
that.
meant to be that, because we didn't see it, that Alan, wanting legitimacy, which we don't get the sense of, thinks if he cozies up to Rhaenyra, he will eventually be rewarded legitimacy. Because they've made Alan, in this episode, kind of bad. She goes, your blood of old Valyria, kill the Pope, and he kills the Pope.
But 5 minutes before he said, your blood is treacherous to
So
Baelor.
good that the High Septon, once again, isn't in Old Town.
You see, for me not being a book person, that doesn't bother me. It makes sense that the High Septon is in the Sept. I wouldn't think about the fact that the Faith is over there. But yeah, I think Fumbleton is pretty much a legitimate way to put it. It is still cool, and it's definitely not the worst episode we've had, but I think to book fans, it could be a massive butchery. Like, it's probably the most offensive episode to book fans.
But everyone's one note.
Everyone has one thing.
Everyone has one.
Do.
Hugh wants to save his wife. Ulf wants to go boozing with the boys. It just feels ChatGPT, doesn't it?
We're not done with House of the Dragon. We will be dissecting this abomination, this mutation.
We're going to do a big-ass summary
for a
video.
while,
yeah.
I mean, I'm tempted to even just do an episode per character that they mutilated. Like, you could talk for a while on fucking Alicent and the lack of whatever she is.
Yeah.
But that's everything. Let us know what you thought.
We aren't going to get the Eye of the Wolf. We're going to get the 5-minute montage of the wolf if we're lucky.